Welcome to another edition of 42 Straight Years In. On my crackhead update, me and my old lady was outside walking around. In the back of this complex is a bus stop. There's an old guy sitting there smoking crack. And he was just finishing it. And me and her walked by. And he told us, he said, I know y'all two undercovers. He said, that's who arrested me the last time. He took me to Lulu. When he said Lulu, he talking about Lou Sterry Justice Center. That's the Dallas County Jail. He said, I done smoked all the evidence up. That dope wasn't no good, no way. Man, that dude's eyes was big as silver dollars. Man, he was tripping hard, paranoid. And he stood up, put his hands behind his back. Go ahead, y'all can handcuff me now. I'm ready. I've been arrested by undercovers before. I said, man, we not no police. Yes, you is. Go ahead and take me to jail. For some reason, he wanted to go to Lou Sterry. I guess take him a shower, maybe eat, get him some good sleep. Me and her walked away laughing. And we look around. He's walking away from the bus stop here. I don't know where the hell he went. He's walking on down Washington Avenue. That's my crackhead update. Y'all know what it is. Get your shanks out. And let's get ready to ride. Hey, y'all follow me over on Patreon. The link will be in the description. And I need my likes. Don't cost you nothing. I'm going to speak on some subjects that have been in the comment section lately. I had one guy asked me in the comment section to describe the most brutal homicide that I ever witnessed. All of them are brutal. And but I did a video called The Menace. Now this guy had killed his cell partner. Well, he knocked him out first, knocked him unconscious, and he skinned him over a 2-day period of time. I'm talking about skin him just like you would skin an animal. Now this guy is live. He got him gagged where he can't holler. Now imagine that'll be brutal. That happened at the McConnell unit. Now I go back to Ramsey. 1976, one of the inmate guards named Charlie Roberts, he caught one of the other inmate guards sitting in the barbershop in the chair. Back in the day, you could go in the inmate barbershop and get shaved. They had straight razors. These guys would shave you. And he cut his head off. He got a mop, mopped all the blood up, and sewed the dude's head back on with some thread from the craft shop. He actually sewed his head back on. And when they come around to count, right when they get in the barbershop to count, see how many inmates in the barbershop, the guy's head fall off. Now, he didn't get indicted for that or anything. They just transferred him from the Ramsey unit to the Wynn unit in Huntsville. And he still was an inmate guard at the Wynn unit. You know, that was if you was known as vicious and had a whole lot of notoriety, that you the guy who they want to recruit. Of course, they try to get the biggest guys they possibly can. Just because you was big, all big guys wouldn't work for the prison system. But they would try to recruit guys with size on them. And a guy was speaking on the prison gangs. I've said this before in earlier videos. I was fairly well in tune with what was going on around me. These inmate guards were vicious as hell. And none of these so-called gangs didn't exist during that time. And if they did, they sure didn't do nothing to the inmate guards. Look at me. I'll be naming different people was killed. I can tell you who killed him, where it was located in the prison. That kind of information was wide. It was well known. If it was occurring, people knew about it. Wasn't no secret murders. Only secret murders was the one that the warden and inmate guards committed. Those were secret that you wasn't gonna know nothing about unless you was in the know. You wasn't gonna know anything about it, how it transpired. You wasn't gonna never know. But between regular inmates, you was gonna know. And at all these vicious prisons that they had in Texas, none of these guys were getting killed. It was a rarity. They get killed, but it was a rarity. And it wasn't no gang doing the killing. I spoke on this guy once before, I think my second video. A guy, he's in Dallas, named Charlie Fulbright. He one of the founders and leaders of the black prison gang, the Mandingo Warriors. Now, he killed 2 of them. But he was no gang member back then. He was just a regular guy. He killed one at East Ham. He killed another one at Ramsey. He was no gang member. It was kind of rare for these guys to be getting killed. Most guys just did not deal with them. They go ahead and accept being brutalized and chalk it up as all in a day's work in a Texas prison. You know, I can understand gang members want to say that they was bad, but most of the old ones who was back during that era, I know those guys. I can almost name all the murders that occurred. And if you was a bad actor, you was going to be at the Ellis unit, the East Ham unit, the Retrieve unit, and the Ramsey unit. Those were the units you was going to go to if you was a bad actor and they couldn't deal with you. Now, each one of those units, when you arrive, they kick the shit out of you your first day there to show you, hey, we don't bullshit with you here. You get out of line here, this is what's going to happen to you. Majority of the time, if you got transferred to one of those prisons for messing up at another prison, that's what was going to happen to you. Now, East Ham got some of the most vicious building inmate guards. These guys wasn't getting killed. First one ever got killed there is Charlie Fulbright, the guy I just mentioned. Well, he killed one coming out of the schoolhouse. He killed him. He did not get indicted for it. Back then, they ain't necessary, and sometimes they sweep stuff under the rug. Like, you see all this stuff in the newspaper. It wasn't in the newspaper then. They kept everything in-house. You never read nothing in a newspaper about what's going on inside of a Texas prison or hear about it on the news. Because they had strict control on inmate access to people on the outside. They censored your mail. The only way you got to get you could get your story to the outside is you got visits. That's the only way. You couldn't write a letter. They didn't have no phone calls. Somebody in your family died, they might allow you to talk to your family on the phone. They might. Depends on what mood the sorry ass chaplain is in. I mean, all the chaplain was sorry. They were just as worse as the warden. And the chaplain at Ramsey, he was just as bad as Wildcat. And he's the chaplain. Man, this man talks so crazy you in that church house, it's pathetic. He almost as bad as Cat. Well, I ain't gonna say he was, well, I put it like this, he was sorry. Ain't that many people can touch Cat, not for violence. Cat is violent as they come. I hear people be talking about police officers and how vicious they are. I get to thinking, I say, man, I guess I could deal with a Dallas police officer. If you could deal with Old Lord and Cat, you can deal with any police officer. It's not one Dallas police officer as bad as Old Lord. I can guarantee you that. He can't even touch Old Lord on his bad day. He can't touch Cat on his bad day. Cat unpredictable, and you better have your ducks lined up when you go talk to this man. You better not go in there complaining and whining about some inmate or some guard that's bothering you. You don't want to hear that type of shit. The best way you could get something out of Cat is go in there and just shoot the shit with him. Just like he'll a regular inmate. Just like you talk to an inmate, that's how you talk to him the same way. And that's how he'll respect you. He the only warden that I ever been around during that time who you could call by his name. All the rest of them you had to say, yes, sir, And no, sir, you had to stand talking to them with your hands behind your back, like you standing at ease in the military. That's how you had to stand talking to a warden. Cat, you didn't have to do that. You can talk to him just as easy as you could talk to me. Say whatever's on your mind, and he'll give you more respect than coming there with that suck ass stuff, talking about they bothered me and all. He don't want to hear none of that. Now, if you go in there straight up, you probably get something did from him. But some people would just want to talk to this man. They didn't heard so much about him, and go in there and get clowned. They ain't even ready for this man, how ignorant he is. I remember once when I worked in his office, a little white guy came in there to talk to him, come off the safekeeping wing. Back then, they just called it a regular protection wing. That's what they called it then. But now protection and safekeeping, that's two different things. Well, he come off a sixth wing, and that was the protective custody wing. He came and talked to Cat. He said, how you doing, Cat? Cat said, I'm doing okay. He said, I want to know when I'm going to make parole. Cat said, well, I don't know. You only got 20 years. He said, you ain't never had disciplinary. He said, you should make parole. He said, I want to know when I'll be going home this year. Cat looked at him and said, sure, you'll go home when it's a full moon. And it's about 1:30 in the afternoon. That guy looked, he said, Warden, it's daytime. He said, well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's when you go home when it's a full moon. This man got all type. When you come in there acting dumb, well, he just show you he's dumber than you is. He will do the fool with you. You want to get clowned, well, he's the man that's going to clown you. You know, I don't understand why you going to come ask the warden about when you was going home. Because back then, it was all up to, just like it is now, up to a parole officer. But under the old system, if you didn't ever receive a disciplinary, you was going home. All the crazy stuff they did to you, it never went on your record. So that's why some guys had clean records. Shelling peanuts, standing on the soda water crates, standing in the hallway all night long, being placed in the jailhouse. None of that went on your record. Warden or major just come off the top of his head with that punishment. It didn't go on your record. So it'll show on your record you never had disciplinary. Even though they kept another record that they didn't show nobody or how many times you done had disciplinary. They know about it. They just didn't put it in your main file and put it on what they call your traveling card. It depends on your race, depends on the color of your card. If you was black, your card is blue. You were Hispanic, your card was pink. You was white, your card was white. And they didn't have no others. And it was called your traveling card. Have all the information summarized on that card. Well, enough ranting and raving. Y'all keep your shanks out. Well, we might have to move on these suckers at a moment's notice. They're going crazy up here in Dallas. They finding bodies everywhere up here. They dropping like flies in Dallas, Texas. Y'all like and subscribe, and I thank you for watching.